It's Ian from Audio here. Welcome to another Marathon Wednesday where we take on them big catalogues. Today's not a real big one, but it's big enough to be qualified as a marathon day. So anything over a band that's had more than 13 albums gets put into this category. And today it's just sort of a request. It was from me and Dave. We put this in ages ago, and we were just letting it bubble up through the list. But when we sadly lost Gary Rossington, we thought we'd bring it out ahead of everything, so we can pay our tributes to Gary Rossington, because he is the last of the original members to sadly pass. They were formed way back in 1964. And they were called My Backyard then, and it was Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, Larry Jernstrom, Bob Burns on drums. And they spent 5 years sort of playing local stuffs, and then they had a few change-ups and changed their name to Lynyrd Skynyrd. Became a legendary southern rock band, and then of course we had that terrible plane crash in October 1977. And now I remember this being on the news, and it was just very sad. I mean, it killed Ronnie Van Zant, Steve Gaines, and Steve Gaines' sister Cassie. Then they disappeared, and they reformed again back in 1987 with Johnny Van Zant, Ronnie's brother, and they continued to tour. Unfortunately, as time's gone on, members of the band have died. So I don't know what's going to happen next. Are they going to carry on? Because there's no original members, who knows? But they've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they've sold over 28 million records in the United States. And I'm one of my favourite southern rock bands. It's as simple as. They've released 14 studio albums. I like them. There is not really a bad album. They never put out a bad album, I don't think. All the musicians that have been in this band have been terrific, and they've all added their thing. So we'll get cracking, because we have 14 to look at. So, coming in at number 14 is the 11th album. It was released in the year 2000, and it's called Christmas Time Again. Now this features Johnny Van Zant on the lead vocals, Gary Rossington on guitars, Billy Powell on keyboards and piano, Leon Wilkinson on the bass, but it's credited but does not appear on the album apparently. Ricky Medlock on guitars, Huey Thomas on guitars, and Michael Cartone on percussion and drums. First track on here is called Santa's Messing with the Kid. It's a great blues song, but I don't associate blues and Christmassy music together. But it is a really good blues tune. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Yeah. Didn't like their version of it. Sorry. Wasn't very Christmassy. Christmas Time Again. This isn't too bad. It's a good rock track, but I don't, as I said, I can't really associate rock music without being Christmas. It doesn't go. Then they do a version of Greensleeves, and it's quite good. It's my favourite tune on here. Then we get Santa Claus is Coming to Town. Forget that. It's not very good. Run Rudolph. No, don't like that either. Mama Song. It's not too bad. It sounds good. Santa Claus Wants Some Loving. I like me Christmas songs to be a bit more traditional. Classical Christmas. It's all right. Then we get Hallelujah It's Christmas. It doesn't mix for me. And Skynyrd Family, it's just not very good. Okay, I'm not a big fan of this album, I must admit. The music sounds good, but it's that thing at Christmas. I like me Christmas carols to be Christmas carols, and I don't know if it's because I'm from England and we all, we get very traditional. But the music's okay. They play well, but I just don't like the album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of a 3 out of 10. Okay, then, coming in at number 13, we got a 1994 now, and it is Endangered Species. It's mostly an acoustic instrumental song, some of the other stuff, and new material, and it was the last album that featured Ed King on guitars and the only one to feature guitarist Mike Estes. So the band is, I won't go we know what instruments they play. It's Johnny Van Zandt, Gary Rossington, Mike Estes, Leon Wilkinson, Billy Powell, Owen Hale is drums, Ed King, additional personnel Dale Krantz Rossington on backing vocals, and Debbie Davis on backing vocals. First track is a version of Down South Junkin', a good song off the first album. It's not a bad arrangement as an acoustic song. It does work. Heartbreak Hotel, which is of course an Elvis made this famous. It's an interesting interpretation. It's all right. Devil in the Bottle, one of the original songs on this, and I quite like this. I love the acoustic slide guitar on this. It really does work. Then we get Things Going On, another song off the debut album, and it's a reasonable version of it. I've got no problem with that. Saturday Night Special, nothing fancy on it. It's okay. It works. Sweet Home Alma Balamet does not work as an acoustic song. That's it. I Ain't the One, another one off the debut album. Probably the best version and the best cover on this album. I'm Losing It, a song from Nuthin Fancy. It just doesn't sound right as an acoustic. All I Have Is This Song, which is an original song. It's okay, but it's a little bit flat in places. Poison Whiskey. I don't dislike this track, but I prefer the full version. Good Luck, Bad Luck, one of the original songs on here. It's okay. The Last Rebel, far too long for an acoustic song. 5 minutes 42 for a acoustic song is just too long. Hillbilly Blues is next. It's okay, it's just an average song. Yes, certainly some of these popular songs off the early albums sound very good stripped down. Some of them do not sound right, but it's an album I don't play very often. So I shall give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 12, we have the 12th album. This was released in 2003, and it is called A Vicious Cycle. And it's the first album to be recorded by the band following the death of the original bassist Leon Wilkinson, who does appear on 2 songs on here. And of course it will be the first album that featured Iain Evans, and the first mainstream album with Michael Cartoni on drums, and the last album for Huey Thompson before he died. So it's Gary Rossington, Billy Powell, Iain Evans on bass, Michael Cartoni on drums, Ricky Medlock on guitars, Huey Thompson on guitars, Leon Wilkinson on bass on a couple of tracks, The Way and Lucky Man, and Johnny Van Zandt. First track is called That's How I Like It. Great song. Love the gentle start, and then you think it's going to be an acoustic song, but then comes in the guitars, Gary Rossington's thing. It's a very good song. I do like that. Pick 'em Up. Lovely harmonica. Great vocal from Johnny. I like this, and I love the keyboards on here from Billy. Really good. Dead Man Walking. Another good track. It's got that real southern rock feel to it. I love the drum hit, the drumming on the drum rims here. Excellent track. The Way, track that features Leon Wilkinson. It's got a great bass line from him. It's a good song. I like that song a lot. Red, White and Blue comes next. Pleasant enough, Some nice harmonies on this. Sweet Mama, my favourite track on here. It's proper southern rock, proper Lynyrd Skynyrd, really good track. All funk, good track. I love Johnny Van Zant's vocal on that, really strong. Hell or Heaven, I like the guitar solo on this, it sort of saves the song. Mad Hatter, another good guitar solo from Gary Rossington, solid track. Rock a Little Town, love this. I love the guitar, the piano's good. It's very sort of reminds me of like the Choir Boys. I like that sort of rocky piano-y thing. It's a good track. Cruel, it's okay. Jake, love the bass line from Iain on that. It was, you know, really good. Life's Lessons, it's okay, nothing special. Lucky Man, a great track. You know, from last time we really hear Leon on an album, he leaves us with a wonderful bass line. And then Give Me Back My Bullets, which features Kid Rock. I've had this saying, why mend something that isn't broke. That's all I'll say about that. An album, it's got a lot of tracks on it. If we take the weaker ones off, I think this would have been a bit higher. But the tracks that I do like on here, I think they're fabulous. And you know, they were still making great music. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 11, we have the 7th album from 1993, called The Last Rebel, and it's the last album to feature drummer Kurt Custer and guitarist Randall Hall. So the lineup for this one was Gary Rossington, Ed King, Johnny Van Zant, Leon Wilkson, Billy Powell, Randall Hall, Kurt Custer. Additionals on here, we have Dale Krantz, Rossington again, and Tim Lindsay doing additional bass. First track, Good Lovin's Hard to Find. It's got a very soulful drum beat and it works. Great drumming from Kurt. I love the brassy sound in this as well. It's really good. One Thing, another solid track. Some great riffs in this. Some great guitar playing from all of them. Really good. Can't take That Away. It's a gentle sort of southern rock track and I don't mind it. It's pretty cool. Then we have my favourite track on here. It's called The Best Things in Life. What makes this is Billy's piano. It really rocks. It's a damn good track. The Last Rebel. It's a little tad long. About a couple of minutes too long. It sort of loses itself. But on the whole, it's a reasonably good track. Out of Hell in My Dodge. Nothing wrong with this one. Just good old-fashioned southern rock. Does what it says on the tin. Kiss Your Freedom Goodbye. It's good. It's solid. It's just a good track. Slight South of Heaven, another solid track. Some great guitar work on this. Love Doesn't Always Come Easy. Yeah, it's more of a country style song. That's okay. Johnny does a great vocal on it though, so it makes it good. Born to Run, nothing to do with Bruce Springsteen, but it's still a good solid track. Pretty good album here. It's one of them albums that hasn't got an outstanding track, but it's got just an album full of good solid songs. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7.2. Just have a sip of coffee. So top 10. So starting the top 10, we have the 13th album, released on the 29th of September 2009. It's Gods and Guns, and it's the last album that Billy Powell played on before he died in the January of 2009. So this is released after his death. And it's the first album. Hang on, Iain Iain Evans, who replaced Leon bass, also died before the album came out. This is such a sad thing. The late Huey Tomlinson had contributed to writing and many of the songs, but recording did not begin in 2008 because he died in 2007. And it's the first with Mark Majacka on the album, and it features a little bit of work from John Five, who's now a Motley Crue. So it's Johnny Van Zandt, Gary Rossington, Ricky Medlock, Mark Majacka, Iain Evans, and Michael Carlone on drums, Billy Powell on keyboards. Still Unbroken is the first track, and it's my favourite. It's just got one of them great heavy openings, great riffs, great bass line, solid start, great album. Simple Life, a solid enough track. We've got some great riffs from Gary and the boys. Johnny does a fantastic vocal on that one. Little thing called You, good riffs on this. Great sounding, beefy bass line, just what I like. Southern Ways just sounds like a rehash of Sweet Home Alabama to me. It's not very original. Skynyrd Nation, I like this song. It's got a great feel to it. It's a sort of uplifting track. Great drumming on this. And Write That Song, it's all right. It's nothing special. Floyd, it's got a real bluesy feel to it. The slide guitar is excellent in that. That Ain't My America isn't too bad. It's a nice gentle rock song and a great vocal from Johnny. Coming Back for More comes next. Sounds like a heavy riffs in this, a little bit different, and I quite like that. Then we get the title track, Gods and Guns. It's a bit of a cowboy song, and I don't mind this. The guitar was good. Bit of banjo thrown in there. Pretty good little track that one is. Then we get Storm. It's another of those tracks that's got one of them catchy, hooky riffs that just makes you want to tap your feet. It's a great vocal from Johnny on that. Terrific track. Gifted Hands, the last track. Starts off gentle, and then you get these orchestral bits come in. The solo reminds me a little bit of Freebird, though. Another solid album from Lynyrd Skynyrd. You know, they're very consistent. There's some great guitar solos on this album. I do like this, so I'm going to give it an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay then, coming in at number 9, we have the 9th album, released in 1997, and it's called 20, and it refers to the fact that it was 20 years since the plane crash. And this is the album that they brought in Ricky Medlock on the guitars, Huey Tomlinson from the Outlaws, and drummer Owen Hale. It also features a little bit of vocals by Ronnie on this, and Travelling Man. We'll get to that. So the first track on here is called We Ain't Much Different. Another good start to the album, just hooks you straight away. I like it when you get tracks, the first track always draws you in straight away, and that is one of them songs. Bring It On's next. Good track, I love this. Great guitar work from Gary. Voodoo Lake, another sort of signature southern rock track. I love the guitar sound on this. When you get 2 or 3 guitarists playing some lovely melodies, it really works. Home Is Where the Heart Is, not too bad. Travelling Man. Now this is quite interesting. I mean, it's always a classic track from the band, and you sort of get Ronnie's vocals in there, so it's very clever, and they did it nice. I think it was just put there because it's 20 years. Really nice little tribute. Talk myself right into it. Good track. I love the piano on this. Oh, I love tracks with that honky tonk sort of piano. Really good. Never Too Light. Great guitar work. It's got all the typical signatures of a Lynyrd Skynyrd track. Then we get ORR. sounds a bit like the Doobie Brothers, but there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to sound like the Doobie Brothers. Blame It on a Sad Song, another solid track. Nothing wrong with that one. Bernice, a gentle song, some nice words on this. It's a great vocal from Johnny. None of Us Are Free. It's an interesting. The arrangement is pretty good. It's okay. And the last track is Soon We Forget. I love this track. I love the hitting of the rims of the drums. I like them sort of tracks. Just a good old-fashioned southern rock track, and I like it. Really good album. The Travelling Man is pretty good. You know, it's a nice little tribute to fallen colleagues. It's got some good tracks on here. Pretty consistent. Again, I like this style of music anyway. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.6. Okay then, coming in at number 8. Got the 10th album released in 1999. It's Edge Forever, and this was the last full album to feature Leon Wilson for his sad death in 2001. So we got Gary Rossington, Billy Powell, Leon Wilson, Ricky Medlock, Huey Thomason, different drummer Kenny Arnoff and Johnny Van Zandt. We got some percussions by Michael Cartellone, Carol Chase on the backing vocals, along with Dale Krantz Rossington. Working. Some awesome guitar on here between Hugh, Rick and Gary. It's great. Some great drumming as well. I really like this track. Full Moon Night, another electrical guitar excellency. I love how they just play off each other on that. Preacher Man, my favourite track on here. We've got them driving riffs. A great vocal from Johnny. It's got one of the best solos on here. One of them's got the wah-wah pedal out, and it's absolutely amazing. Great track. Mean Streets isn't too bad. I'd say it's one of the tracks that not one of my favourites, but it's still solid. Tomorrow's Goodbye, gentler place here. Johnny Van Zandt sounds great on here, really good. Edge of Forever, it's a combination of just traditional southern rock and blues. It's a really good sound, excellent track. Gone Fishing comes next. One of my favourite tracks on here. Some great drumming on this. Through It All, very good track. The guitar solo on is a killer on that. Money Back Guarantee, I love it, the piano at the beginning, then the guitars come in. It's a very basic song, but you don't sometimes need fancy stuff, just a basic rhythm and you get a really good track. Then we get GWTGG, good track. I love the bass line from Leon in this. Some great guitar work on it as well, but it's that bass line from Leon that sort of holds it together. Rough Around the Edges, guitars sound great on this, and another fine vocal from Johnny. Great way to end the album. Another strong album. What can you say? It's very hard when you like every album, but it's just got some solid music on it. And I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 7.8. Okay, coming in at number 7. Now, this is the 14th and most current, and will it be their last? Last of a Dying Breed. It's the first album to feature Peter Keys on keyboards and Johnny Colt on the bass. Features John Five again, and it was sadly the last album that Gary Rossington would play on. So it's Johnny Van Zandt, Gary Rossington, Ricky Medlock, Mark Majaka, Peter Keys, Greg Morrow on the drums, Mike Baraginal plays bass, although Johnny Colt is credited, and John Five does some lead guitar. First track is the title track, Last of a Dying Breed. It's another good track. Some great slide guitar on it. I'm not quite sure who does the slide guitar, but it's just great. It's just a really strong track. I love it. One Day at a Time, another good song on here. Some great guitar work on this one again. Such detail goes into this. And this is something about this band. They've been very consistent throughout their career. Homegrown, brilliant. Driving riffs. Second favourite track on here. Great vocal from Johnny, as ever. He had big boots to fill, and he has done a great job. Ready to Fly. I'm not so keen on this one. It's a bit flat. I don't know what happened there. It's probably one of the only tracks I don't like by the band. Mississippi Blurb. Love the start of this. I love that acoustic sort of deep south side. The driving riffs come in. Some great keyboard. Good track. Good Teachers, the next track. Funky start. Sharp rock. Short sharp rocker. Great singing from Johnny. Something to Live For. Very country. Not a fan of that one though. Life's Twisted. Great track. It's got some driving riffs and that piano. That, although it's not Billy, it's got that sound that Billy had. Then we got Nothing Comes Easy. My favourite track. This is that sort of chug rock. I like that, and I love the organ in this. It's got a really nice feel to it. Again, great vocal from Johnny on that. Honey Hole. Just a solid track. There's nothing, you can't say that it makes it bad. It's just good. Start Living Life Again, the last track. The beginning, it's got that lovely slide guitar. I just love the slide guitar. And the rest of the guitars come in. It's just a bluesy rock. What more can you ask for? If this is going to be the last Lynyrd Skynyrd album, what an album to go out on. It's a great album for Gary to go out on. You know, the original band are no longer with us. If they carry on, that's great. I will not say anything because I think it's just a great sign. And Johnny Van Zandt, if he wants to carry on, fair play to him. We don't know. There's been nothing in the camp, but what a great tribute here to the great Gary Rossington. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 6. This is the 6th album. It was released in 1991, and it's the first album since 1977. This is called Lynyrd Skynyrd. Lots of things on here, of course. Lead vocals are now by Ronnie's younger brother Johnny. First to feature Randall Hall, and it marked the return of Ed King. And this was the last Skynyrd album to feature drummer Artemis Pyle, who was one of the survivors of that tragic crash. It also featured Alan Collins, who survived the crash but sadly died of chronic pneumonia in 1990. So the lineup on here, it's Johnny Van Zandt, Gary Rossington, Ed King, Randall Hall, Leon Wilkerson, Billy Powell, and Artemis Prime, and Kurt Custer does a little bit as well. First track on here is Smoke Stack Lightning. What a start! That lovely keyboard from Billy Powell, Artemis Powell's great drumming. What a good start to the album. Keeping the Faith, good track. I do like Artemis's drumming. I've always liked his style of drumming. Wonderful solid track. Southern Women, Ed King and Gary Rossington playing together was just great. Again, they've got the new guy Randall in. It's a good track. You know it's Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's really good. Pure and simple, gentler track. I like this track. It's first time that we've got Johnny Van Sant singing some of the slower stuff, and it worked well. I've seen enough. It's okay. It's not the best track, but it's still solid. Good thing. Some great dirty riffs. We've got the dulcet tones of Gary Rossington's guitar playing. Absolutely wonderful. Money Man. Proper Lynyrd Skynyrd. They'd been away from a long time, but this is a great track. You could tell they were back. Backstreet Crawler, my favourite track on this album. This still got a lot of that old sound on here. Gary's great guitar work, some great drumming from Artemis. It's probably my favourite track since the post crash lineup. Fantastic track. Probably would get into my top 10 of all-time favourites. It's a killer. Another favourite of mine. It's the backing vocals on this are great. The rhythm, the guitars and the rhythm is really good. Really gets you rocking. Mama, Afraid to Suck, could say. I love the start of it. It's that bluesy piano from Billy. Just awesome. End of the Road. Another killer guitar solo from Gary Rossington. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's a lot, long break and a lot to take in. A lot of people didn't expect this, to be quite honest. People thought they were dead and buried. Sorry the pun, but they weren't going to come back. But what a comeback album. It's really, really good, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.2. Okay, now we get into the serious stuff. The one I struggled with, the top 5 obviously from that early era that really put them on the map. Very hard to choose these because they're 5 great albums. Really tough for me. It took me a long time to get this right. It chopped and changed so many times. So we went with this one in the end, and we're not going to change it. And I had a look yesterday and that no, stop it, behave. So coming in at number 5, we have the 4th album released in 1976, and it's Gimme Back My Bullets. Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, Leon Wilkerson, Artemis Prime and Billy Powell. What a lineup. Gimme Back My Bullets, an absolute classic. The guitar work here between Gary and Alan is amazing, and then you get that lovely, wonderful voice of Ronnie Van Zant. Wonderful. Every Mother's Son, bit of country rock here, and it's great. Nice tones, really good track. Then we get Trust. Again, that Gary and Alan's guitar playing on this is terrific. Then we get a J.J. Cale number, I've Got Some Blues. I like the song, and they've done a good version of it. Double Trouble, what a track. Ronnie's great vocal. Artemis Pyle on the hi-hats, absolutely killer track. Roll, Gypsy Roll, it's one of these semi-acoustic tracks that I like, absolutely brilliant. Searching, my favourite track on here, it's probably one of my favourite guitar solos from Gary Rossington as well. Absolutely belter of a track. Cry for the Bad Man, a classic. It's Artemis's great drumming on this. I just love how he hit them high cymbals and the rolling drums, brilliant. All I Can Do Is Write About You, probably my least favourite track on this album, but it's still good. Excellent album. Every track is pretty solid. It's just a classic album, so I am going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming in at number 4, we have the debut album from 1973. It's called Pronounce Lynyrd Skynyrd. So on here we have got Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, Ed King on the bass, Billy Powell on keyboards, Bob Burns does the drumming except on tracks 2 and 6, Al Cooper on bass on some of them, Robert Nix does the drumming on one track, and percussion is Bobby Hall, and harmonica is Steve Katz. First track, This Ain't the One, another great track. I love this. It's proper Southern blues. Great bass line in it. Terrific song. Tuesday's track. John, this is an interesting track. I love the string sound on this. The only criticism I have got of this, though, it's about 3 minutes too long. The middle bit could have been cut out. Gimme 3 Steps. A great track, and it's a great track live. This is. Ronnie's vocals are absolutely brilliant. Love that. Simple Man, my second favourite track on this album. Another classic track. It's just got a lot of things. 6 minutes long, but it flows well. Absolutely corking track. Then we get Things Going On. I like this. Some great guitar work on that one. Mississippi Kid. Now you can imagine this is, it's got that real southern feel to it. You can imagine people sitting on the Mississippi, down on their porch in their dungarees, drinking moonshine. It's got one of them sort of things. That harmonica on this track from Steve Katz is great. Poison Whiskey, one of my favourite tracks. They did a great acoustic version of this, but I didn't think it worked as well because you needed some great drumming on it and some great electric guitars with a funky bass line. Well, then, of course, we get this certain track called Freebird. Best song they ever did. I just love this. Unfortunately, it's only on their number 4 album, but it's a blinding track. A great album with probably one of the greatest rock tracks ever. Solid top to bottom. So I'm going to give this one an RTA ranking of 8.6. Okay, my number 3 is the third studio album from 1975. And it's the first to feature Artemis Pyle. So it's Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, Ed King, Leon Wilkerson, Artemis Pyle and Billy Powell. First track on this one, the Saturday Night Special. What a track. I love the shuffle drums here from Artemis. It's one of my favourite tracks by the band. I love this track. Simple as. Cheating Woman. Leon's bass line on this is terrific. The guitar work is also awesome. It's just a great track. Railroad Song. Love the harmonica on this. And it's got that sort of feel that you are on the railroad. It's a great track. Great guitar from Gary Rossington. I'm a Country Boy, more solid stuff. Great bass line here. The engine room here. Leon Wilson and Emerson Pyle. Ooh. Throw in a good vocal from Ronnie Van Zant and you got an excellent track. On the Hunt. Good track. It's got some solid riffs. Great vocal from Ronnie Van Zant on that one. Am I Losing? Great guitar solo from Gary Rossington. I love this track. Made in the Shade. Very good track. I love the harmonica. It just makes it think. Then we got my favourite track, Whiskey a Rock-a-Roller. Heavy track. It's absolutely mega. I love this. It's got a sublime solo from Gary. A great bass line from Leon. It's absolutely brilliant. As the title suggests, there's nothing fancy on here. Only one big hit, Saturday Night Special. The rest are just classy songs. Whiskey a Roller is one of my favourites, next to Saturday Night Special. They're just great songs. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.8. Okay, coming in at number 2 is the 5th album. That's the last before the tragic plane crash, and it's anyone that featured Steve Gaines. It's just so sad. This album always makes me feel sad. So it's Ronnie Van Zant, Steve Gaines, Alan Collin, Gary Rossington, Leon Wilson, Artemis Pyle, Billy Powell, the Honkettes, J.J. Billingsworth, Cassie Gaines and Leslie Hawkins. Ed King does some guitar on One More Time. It's the thing. What's Your Name? Oh, what a track to open the album with. Ronnie Van Zant at his best. That's brilliant. That Smell. Love this. Steve Gaines. He brought something to this band for this album. He would have gone on and made a great thing with Gary. One More Time is a classic song. Just wonderful playing on that one. Then we get my favourite track on here, I Know a Little, written by Steve himself. I love this. It's a jazzy thing. I like the guitar work between Greg and Gary, and Steve. Artemis's jazzy blues drumming on here is brilliant. You've got that right. Superb song. Great vocal from Ronnie Van Zant. Oh dear. I've Never Dreamed. Love the keyboards from Billy Powell on this. Again, you got that lovely interplay between Steve Gaines and Ed and everyone else. It's just really good. Honky Tonk, Nighttime Man. This is a Merle Haggard song, of course. Skynyrd's version is far better. It's absolutely brilliant. Ain't No Good Life, a bluesy track with some great honky tonk piano, great guitar playing, unbelievable stuff. This is a great album. It's so sad. This was the only album that Steve Gaines played on. It's also sad it's the last time we heard Ronnie as well. Just a brilliant album. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. But my favourite album, Dow, is the second album, released in 1974, Second Helping. On here it's Ronnie Van Zant, Gary Rossington, Alan Collins, Ed King, Leon Wilson, Bob Burns, Billy Powell, Mike Porter. Lots of people doing backing vocals. Opens up with this, my second favourite track ever, and it's Sweet Home Alabama. Catchy tune, catchy chorus, easy to remember. Billy's piano playing is brilliant. The guitar work is great. It's just a solid track. I Need You. Now this is one of my favourite sort of ballady songs from the band they ever did. It's one of Ronnie's finest vocals as well. It's just a brilliant track and a great guitar solo on this. Don't Ask Me No Questions is next. A classic. Very raw but wonderful. Working for the MCA. Oh, classic. Opened up a lot of their shows. It's just a brilliant track. It's got some great guitar work on this, especially from Gary. Absolutely brilliant. Then we get the Ballad of Curtis Leo. I love this track. I love the story. Ronnie tells it in such a way you get hooked in. What a track. Swamp music. Great guitar. It's just a good old-fashioned southern rock jam. That's absolutely brilliant. The Needle and the Spoon comes next. Oh, another great track. There's not a bad track on this album. This is a brilliant track. It's got some great hooks, great vocals. Oh, it's just amazing. Well, mate, we got a cover of a J.J. Cale track again. Call Me the Breeze. It's one of my favourite songs that J.J. Cale done, so I'm quite happy that they did a version of it. It's really, really good. From start to finish, this is the defining album of Southern rock for me. This is why they're probably my favourite Southern rock band. This album on itself is just amazing. Great playing. You've got that nice fine balance of rockers, country sort of style, harmonious. It's just a wonderful album. Perfect album for Southern rock. And if I was going to say to someone, what album do you recommend if you like to get into Southern rock, it'd be this one. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9.5. So there we go. The great Lynyrd Skynyrd. I don't know what's going to happen. If they make another album, yes, I will be getting it. Of course I will. It's Lynyrd Skynyrd. So that's all for today. I'll be back tomorrow. We got another Viewer's Choice Battle of the Day views, and it's an unplugged one. So it's between REM and Nirvana. And what we got tomorrow, we've got a trip down memory lane. We're going to look at the top 10 singles in the UK on the 13th of July 1992. So it's quite a modern one, but looking forward to that. Having a dig at some of the worst records and some of the good ones. Also tomorrow is live stream from 8 PM tomorrow if you're in the UK, 12 noon on the western seaboard and 3 PM on the eastern. Have a great day, everyone.